So let's talk about something I think we've all felt at some point. You're praying, you're asking, but it just feels like you're being met with silence. What do you actually do when it feels like your prayers are going unanswered? Today, we're going to break down a framework for navigating those exact moments. It's such a common feeling, isn't it? You've been bringing that same request, that same need, day in and day out, and you're just left wondering, what's the holdup? Well, you are definitely not alone in asking that question, and today we're going to explore 3 really powerful perspectives on what might be going on. All right, so the first step actually starts with us. It means we have to look inward and ask a pretty tough question. Are we really participating in the answer to our own prayers? Or are we just kind of sitting back, waiting for it to show up at our doorstep? Okay, and this is a challenging one for sure. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, God is asking us to use the abilities and the opportunities He's already put right in front of us. It forces us to ask, are we waiting for a miracle because we're being faithful? Or is it because we're afraid to take that next step and maybe fail? Sometimes waiting on God can look an awful lot like fear. And this really gets to the heart of it. Faith is not a passive waiting game. A promise from God isn't a permission slip to just sit back and do nothing. No, it's an invitation to partner with Him in bringing it to pass. Let's see how this played out in the life of the prophet Elijah. So, for a perfect example of this, let's look at the prophet Elijah, smack in the middle of a devastating drought. God makes a promise to provide for him, but, and this is key, it comes with an instruction. This isn't just a story about provision, it's a huge lesson in obedience. See, the key here is the sequence of events. God's supernatural provision in step 4, the ravens showing up with food, was completely dependent on Elijah's simple act of obedience in step 3. He could have made excuses, right? But he didn't. He just obeyed. The fulfillment of the promise required his participation. Okay, so that's part 1. Now for part 2, which builds right on top of this, the need for clarity. It's not always enough to just act. We also need to be really clear and direct in what we are asking for. It's so easy to fall into the trap of what you could call waffling prayer. We might think, well, God already knows what I need. And of course, that's true, but He still wants to hear it from us. It's kind of like a little kid who can talk. If they just cry, a parent might not know what's wrong. But when they say, I'm hungry, the need is crystal clear and can be met. We need to move from a vague, I need help, to a specific, I need help with X. And this isn't just some nice, gentle suggestion. No. This is a direct instruction. Just think about those words: seek, ask, knock. These are action words. They imply a focused effort toward a very specific target. We're being invited to be explicit with our needs. But here's the thing. Asking isn't a one-time deal. It's not one and done. It requires persistence. And honestly, this is where so many of us can just get totally discouraged. We ask once or twice, and when nothing happens, we tend to give up. But we're called to more than that. I absolutely love this analogy. Think about it. A blacksmith doesn't just swing his hammer all over the place, right? He hammers the same exact spot over and over and over again to shape the metal. When we're persistent with the specific prayer, we are communicating just how important it is. We're basically saying, this matters. I am focused on this. And this brings us to our third and final part. And, this is often the hardest pill to swallow. Divine timing. What if our effort is there, our prayers are clear, but the answer still hasn't come? What a massive shift in perspective, right? What if the wait isn't actually a no, but simply a not yet? What if the silence is actually a period of intense preparation for something way greater than what we originally even asked for? And there's probably no better story in the entire Bible that illustrates this than the story of Lazarus. His sisters, Mary and Martha, sent word to Jesus that their brother was sick, and they fully expected him to drop everything and come running. But he didn't. So just look at how this all plays out. From Mary and Martha's point of view, Jesus' delay looked like a total, catastrophic failure. But from a divine perspective, that wait was absolutely essential. It transformed a simple request for healing into an opportunity for resurrection, a far, far greater miracle that would prove His power in a way nobody could deny. His timing was perfect for His greater purpose. And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? We see a delay, God sees a design. We feel a frustrating wait, He's behind the scenes, working to make something beautiful, something so far beyond what we could have imagined if our prayer was just answered on our schedule. So, okay. how do we pull all of this together? How do we wait well? It really starts by understanding that waiting is not a passive activity at all. It's a time of purpose.
All right, so let's boil it all down. It really comes down to these three keys. First, do your part. Don't just wait passively. Take action in faith. Second, be laser focused. Pray with specific, persistent clarity. And third, trust the process. Embrace the divine timing, knowing it might be setting the stage for something even bigger and better.
So maybe it's time we completely redefine what waiting even means. It's not just sitting around twiddling our thumbs hoping for the best. No, it's an active spiritual discipline. It's a time for preparing ourselves, for persisting in our requests, and for actively placing our trust in a plan that is so much bigger than our own. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Instead of only focusing on what you're waiting for, maybe the most important question to ask is this: what is God asking you to do, to become, or to learn right here, right now, while you wait? Because the answer to that question might just be the most important answer of all.